AIAIAI, or I am an alien interactions with Fernan Rock, AIAIAI podcast.
My invisible alien friend.
Hello, good to see you. Look great. No one I've seen you in a long time, actually. All right.
How's it going, John? With life?
Life's good.
Yeah?
Yeah, life's really good. Thank you.
You know, I'm so glad to have taken classes with you and all the projects that we did together with my acting reels. You were a fantastic director.
Oh, thank you.
Can you remind me, refresh about your journey a little bit? Like how did you got to this industry? Like,
I was a painter. My dad was an architect, and I was a painter in high school, and I painted all the time. And the school had built the brand new artist studio that was stunning. I had a great teacher. And one day I sort of finished painting for the early evening there, after classes, and I just painted on my own a lot. And then I walked out, and they had built a new theater across from the painting studio. And I heard some of my friends in there acting, and so I just went to the door and I watched them. And then Ted Walsh, who was my teacher at St. Albans, saw me and said, "John, come on in." And so I sat in the back, and then he sort of wove me into working with the actors a little bit, and I really liked it. And I don't think I ever went back to the painting studio, and I wasn't a good painter to begin with. So Ted Walsh, who's was a quite well-known teacher, he came out to Los Angeles and San Francisco afterwards, and he really got me into directing. So I went to college at Washington Lee as a director, and I did some acting there, but I really was focused on directing, and I only acted to try to be a better director, to learn how actors think and work and that kind of thing. And then I got a job as an actor right out of college, which was sort of a miracle because, like I said, I wasn't really a very good actor, I don't think. But I got cast at the Alley Theater, which is a big theater like the Arena Stages in Washington, D.C., or the Rep is here in Seattle. And first day of rehearsal was a play called Black Coffee. It was a big Agatha Christie play, for like a theater of 500 people. And the first day of rehearsals, all the actors with big roles. I had a very small role. I was the butler who served champagne and had like 6 lines or something. But I came on with this very seasoned actor who had a lot of experience, like pages, and he did his line, like, "May I have some champagne?" And I said, "Yes, sir, here's your champagne." He just stopped and went, "You're not going to say it like that, are you?" And I looked out in the audience, and there was the director who had cast me out of the auditions in New York, and the producer who was first seeing my work, and she just turned to him and went, So anyway, they suffered through my work there, and I came back to Washington, D.C., and got cast at what was called then the Folger Shakespeare Theater. It's a beautiful theater, small, and now it's called the National Theater, I think, National Shakespeare Theater. Anyway, so I did a couple shows there, and the only reason to see me in that was I looked ridiculous in tights, so that was sort of fun. And but in Washington, after a couple of years, I started directing in sort of hole-in-the-wall theaters, and did that for a little bit. I had a big hit there, a play called Bent, gay play by Martin Sherman, really powerful, and did really well. And it sort of, in some ways, not only way, launched sort of small garage-type theater in Washington, put it on the map. The play ran forever. And I got some attention from that. And one of the things that happened was Hal Prince asked me to come to New York if I'd be interested in assisting him. And Hal Prince is the most Tony Award-winning director in New York's history. So yes was the answer there. And I worked with Hal on a bunch of shows. That was pretty exciting on Broadway. And then I started directing at Circle Rep and Ensemble Studio Theater, sort of in their workshop series, and worked there. And then I started directing my own plays. People started hiring me. So I sort of built my stage directing there. And but I decided I wanted to go into film, mainly because I didn't want to starve like all my mentors in the theater were starving, and they were way more talented than me. So I went out to the American Film Institute. I got a directing fellowship, came out to LA, and that sort of put me in the film business. And so, long story short, it's already a long story, but I started working as a PA and then as an AD, and then I started directing a boatload of commercials. That became very lucrative. Somewhere in there, I had a baby and didn't want my baby to be raised in Los Angeles, so we bought a house, came up to Seattle, and lived here. And I went back and forth, and that was just really challenging to be a good dad and husband and also have a career there. So I ended up just giving that up and coming back to Seattle. And working here and directing here was, which I knew it would be, was a no-go. It just weren't many projects here of any financial means. And so, and my film career was going to die quickly. So I started writing, and thankfully I was able to sell a script after 2 years. A lean 2 years, but now I make my living mainly as a screenwriter, and I'm back and forth to LA and the house all the time. So that was really fortuitous, and I love to write, so that was a great discovery too. Here we are.
Oh, wow,
And
that's
somewhere in there I started teaching. I ran the film program at UCLA Extension, film and TV program, did that, and that sort of got me to watching my teachers who had been hired generally before me and realized, oh, they have a lot of experience as filmmakers, but they're not very good teachers. I think I can do better than that. So when I left UCLA and came up here, I told UCLA, I'd like to teach for you. So they started hiring me, and I would go back and forth and sort of got my feet wet as a teacher and learned I love to teach, as I hope you saw when I worked with you. And now I've taught UW in the graduate school and Cornish and Freehold, where we met, which is a great theater program, and then I teach privately. So, and I just love to teach. So that's been a good thing to be doing all along. Also,
you were an amazing teacher.
Oh, that's nice of you. I love to teach, and so I want to be an amazing teacher.
Yeah, we can feel that. We can see that.
And I had some good teachers like Ted and a couple others, and when you get older too, I think you start to question, what are you doing here? It can't only be about trying to make a living. You start to want to get back, and teaching is a good feeling that you get in there and you maybe inspire somebody to do something. And not everybody I teach as actors or writers or directors goes on to write, direct, and act, but I don't think you're really teaching that. I mean, you are teaching that, but you're really teaching to believe in yourself, to go for what you want, to feel, not to be hard on yourself, those kind of things. I think that's really what you're teaching.
Wow, that's amazing, John. It feels like one thing nurtures the other, right? In some way, like being a teacher, you're in touch with so many different people, and this kind of it's a material for your writings as well, right?
And life is material.
Life is material. Yeah.
But it's also that when you teach, you start to realize you have to know what you're teaching. And so you start to I'm not really sure how that's done, so I better go read about that, or I better go practice that so I can teach that. And then your students also challenge you with really fascinating questions that you yourself may not have addressed. And you also see yourself in your students. You see their insecurities, and you go, oh, I know that. I recognize that fear. I had that too, or I have that too. I better start doing what the advice I'm giving them. I better start trying to do that for myself too. So I think it's a very symbiotic back and forth relationship. Your students teach you. In
this game of listening and acting, which is basically it's the basic response when you're trying to act. The listening leads you to a more authentic response, right?
Because acting is emotion, reaction, emotion, reaction, emotion, reaction. So when you say something to me, it causes an emotion in me, and I need to act on that emotion. So if you said something rude, I'd act on that. If you said something complimentary, go ahead. If you said something complimentary, I would act on that. And so that's why listening is so important, that acting is all about reacting.
I was trying to find a connection between your teachings and this training of listening, because as a director as well, you observe people, you observe the actors to find what is the point that you must, where is the point that you need to hit, like the buttons that you must to press in this person to get the result that you're looking for as a director, right?
Mm-hmm.
So would you say that being present with your students and being present in life in general, it's a way to exchange that that deep connection that will lead you, or as a director, to get this person to acknowledge what is it, what is the connection that they are missing, to get the better acting, the better result, or to say something that sounds authentic and genuine, and, like real. I don't know if it makes sense what I'm trying to say. How do you see the levels of being present as a teacher, as a director, to get to lead you to extract that result with your actors and your students?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. No, I'm joking.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I think it's a complicated question. I think acting is very hard, very complicated. And yes, I mean, when actors first start, like beginning level actors, which I teach sometimes at Freehold or in my own private classes, they're up in their heads. They're just very self-conscious of what's my next line, or what's the teacher thinking of me, or I wish I'd eaten dinner before I came to class. They're just up in their heads. And so in that way, you find yourself as a teacher reminding your actors, or trying to teach your actors how to be present in the scene and not to be up in their head thinking about their lines. The character's not up in his head or her head thinking about their lines any more than you and I are. I mean, maybe we're thinking, oh, he's asking this, I'm going to say this. But generally, we're just present, listening to each other, and then we're just reacting, and it's coming out of what you just said, and I'm reacting to that. But young actors are really self-conscious, so they're very aware of what they're doing, and so it's not present and natural. So a big part of acting, you probably felt this at Freehold, was lots of just getting actors relaxed, getting them so they're not so tense, and getting them to really make choices and to really listen. So you're right. I mean, beginning level acting classes are all about listening. And as they move up, it starts becoming active listening, to really actively listen, to really what's going to trigger you, what's going to move your character to respond, what are they hearing that's they liking, what are they hearing they're not liking. Remember Stanislavski, the great teacher of all of us, was great acting is you have to be prepared, relaxed, and ready. And that seems so simple, but it's really hard to be prepared, because part of being prepared is not only doing your text work, doing your physical work, doing your voice work, all those training things that you have to do, but also knowing your character, knowing what you're playing at every moment in the scene, and being present in the scene. That's part of being prepared, is not being, I'm still trying to memorize my lines. I can't be present if I'm memorizing my lines and wondering what my next line is. And only when you're present in the scene and prepared can you then be relaxed, because otherwise you're going to be really uptight and really nervous or really self-conscious. And if you are any of those things, you can't be ready for what your scene partner is giving you, because I'll miss it. I'm not listening. I'm too concerned with my own self, and so you can say something and I'll just miss it completely. Yeah. So those are very, very, very superior graduate school acting levels to work towards, but that is where we're trying to work, that you're just totally aware of what's coming at you and you can play it right back. Then we sort of go to real life, and that's a big thing we have to learn to work on as we get older too, isn't it? Of being present, of really being here with Nando and really talking to each other and listening, rather than thinking about what am I doing later this afternoon, or why the hell am I here, or where's lunch. I'll just miss the real vibe that you and I are trying to do, that you're trying to give me or trying to share with me. And it's probably why women all the time after they talk to men, like, are you listening to me? Because I don't think sometimes we are. We're thinking about the sports game or something. And so it's super important to do that. And hard, I think.
And would you say, for example, this was always a thing, a concern? Like you said, people sometimes are thinking what they will do next. But in nowadays, in our day and age, it's even harder because of the technology. We are so connected all the time. And did you felt like through the years any decrease of the quality of this presence in your actors and people that you work with, your students, in terms of this difficulty to stay present, to stay in the moment, because they are so trained to be scrolling, to be jumping from one screen to another, and how the new technology that keeps getting our attention all the time has changed the game for the actors throughout the years since your start.
Well, I don't mean to defend in any way that kind of technology, even though I use it quite a bit too. But to be honest, I haven't seen that with my students. I see it in Seattle. I see younger people whose manners are not that great. Like you'll bump into them in the hallway and you'll say, "Excuse me," and they'll just walk right by, or won't look at you in the eye. They have no social skills. They're not good at conversation. They can't keep up small talk. I see that, and I, as a non-therapist, often say that's because of technology. They're used to being here in Seattle, dark rooms, programming computers, and they just don't have a lot of socialization. And I think therapists would all say socialization is super important to our development, especially at very young years. But, from my experience, and perhaps others have it different, everybody comes to my classes eager. They want to be there. And it's not like I don't teach in high school where they're required to be in school, or even college. I rarely, I do not much. Usually I teach in graduate school where they really want to be there, and they're usually paying a lot of money to be there. So, and they're mature enough now to be present in that way. Now, that doesn't mean they're always present the way I may want them to be present, but they have to learn that. And, so as a teacher to students, you have to work harder. You have to work harder. You're not working hard enough. And then you give them the technique to sort of what they have to focus on. But I generally see them trying. I really do. Unless they have ADD really bad or something like that, where that kind of focus is challenging for them. I generally see people trying to work and do the best they can. And it's just a matter of time, good instruction, practice, hard work, to start like with anything, 10,000 hours to get good at it. That's what I say. So I can't blame social media for that or technology for that. Okay. I think people watch too much TV and don't read. One thing which I just said when I started a class at Thrilled last week was, okay, I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something to try to get you to that you will not do, like many things I try to teach. And one of them is you need to read. And I'm going to send you 200 plays and 200 screenplays. And I really suggest you will thank me all your life if you just read one of those a week. You're going to be reading the greatest authors in the world. Just read one a week. Every night you're going to close that book and go, "Oh my God, I guarantee that." No one does it.
So, John, as I was saying, at home, how do you deal with, like as your director persona, it's you just put it away, you relax from that. As a director, you have this training eye to observe people, to how do you just let this role to rest in your daily life?
Well, as you can imagine, I'm just so profound and perceptive with everything that goes on in my household. No. I'm basically just a slave to my wife's honey-do list and just do whatever she wants. And I think that has been a very successful formula. I work as a photographer because I love photography. I write, I direct, I teach. I've tried to build a life so that when I get up in the morning, I can't wait to go to work. And as we prepare to move to France, people are saying, "Well, are you going to retire?" And I'm just like, "Oh, I never want to retire." That sounds scary to me. I like working. I like this, I like everything I do. And purposely tried to do that because I would have gotten fired from jobs otherwise. Like at cubicles, they would have fired me in about 2 minutes. I just would be so unhappy, and I'd make everybody miserable around me.
Mm-hmm.
So the same as with my home life. I think I'm really happily married. It's been a great marriage. My partner Pia, my wife, is incredible.
Oh, that's
and so
awesome.
I'm just really lucky to be in the room with her at any time, even when either one of us are being challenging or difficult or tired or whatever. And I feel the same way about my boys. We have 3 boys, and they're all men now, but they're incredibly bright. They're all out there trying to change the world.
Mm-hmm.
They care for people, they care for the oppressed, and they challenge everything. And the only drawback with that is when I taught them to challenge everything, I didn't mean me, I didn't mean challenge me, but they did that. And we've had, I think, a very normal life. You know, I make mistakes as a parent, but you know, there's no teacher to teach you how to parent other than what you've learned from your own parents, a lot of which was good in my case, and some of it not so good. But that's, all of us have to deal with that, and our parents are just humans after all.
Yeah.
So I don't think I dare try to direct my wife. I think that would be a good way to put it. I think I'm just a guy doing the best he can out of love for my family, you know, and that's very important to me.
No, that's beautiful. Where does this come from? Like in your kids, this care, where it came from, this care about changing the world, about, you know, people. What was you who brought this to your?
We're all a product of our experiences, aren't we? And I grew up in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
And my father was a great architect, great modern architect. So he had a lot of artist friends. So I was exposed to them from early ages. He also was a marshal at the Vietnam War, anti-war marches. And so he would take me at very early ages. I went to the Martin Luther King speech when I was all of 6 or 5 or something.
Oh, wow.
So politics was a big part of our life. I went to school with politicians' kids at St. Albans and things like that. So I was surrounded by that, and my dad was very politically minded, and I think I grew up with that. And my dad also had a huge heart, really caring, loving man, really, really loving. So I think that empathy, and actually I think that's probably the thing that I value the most in my directing and writing and teaching, is I think I'm very empathetic. I'm not saying that to brag. I just know that I lavish compliments. I critique, but I hopefully in a supportive way. I want to make people better. When I hear stories, like my heart just goes to those people, and I cry at the drop of a hat. I cry at deodorant commercials. It's really embarrassing. But I've sort of learned to love that part of me too. And I think artists have to be like that, because most of us, especially men, are often trained to hide our emotions because it makes us, maybe, in some people's minds, not mine, appear weak or vulnerable. I think it actually is a strong man that cries or shows his emotion and shows empathy for other people. And we could use a lot of that nowadays. I sometimes wonder, like, don't you have any empathy for those people? Don't you care for those people? What's happening to them? How could you treat human beings like that?
Yeah. I'm a witness of your big heart, and you know, since I first met you as a teacher, I remember you crying when we were talking about your son, and that really touched me deeply. And you know, I knew I was in good hands with a good heart man who care about people. So that was amazing to see. And like you said, it's pretty brave for a man, for us to, you know, to you mentioned that you're moving to France. What a big movement!
It's a big move.
Yeah.
Yeah, we it's been on the bucket list for a long time. And you know, with my parents, we lived in Europe a little bit. We lived in Paris, and then with every summer for like 30 years, I've gone over there for 2 weeks or a month, whatever I could swing. And in Provence or Paris or other parts of Europe, but France a lot. And so it's been on sort of my bucket list to live all year round. 300. I used to just say I want to see 365 days in France. And then I'll come back. That was my plan. But my wife, Pia, she worked at Nordstrom. She was the head of couture at Nordstrom, so she was over in Paris in particular with all the haute couture designers buying the high-end clothing for Nordstrom United States stores. She bought all those. So she got to know Paris very, very well. And so we shared the love of France. And then I started taking her down to Provence. And, of course, what's not to like about Provence? And it was sort of on her bucket list, too. And we just sort of realized 8 years ago we sold our house where we raised the boys, the big house, in Montlake in Seattle. And we sort of said, okay, well, let's go to France. Now's the time to go. And I had a job over there, or I could get a job over there writing something. And so, but then our real estate agent said, yeah, but look at this house in Bellevue, Washington. And I was like, Bellevue? I want to live in the suburbs. I lived in cities all my life. But it was a Roland Terry house, just like our old house was designed by Roland Terry. He did canvas, and he's a great Northwest architect. Great. And so we looked at pictures of it and went, oh my God, that house is great. And we have the best view, I think, of Seattle. I mean, we look back over Mercer Island on Seattle. It's stunning, this view.
Wow.
So we were really lucky, and so we decided, okay, we'll buy that. And it's in this beautiful neighborhood called Hilltop, deep in the woods. And if you know P&I, you know we're the least qualified people to ever live in the woods that you've met. But we sort of we had all the wrong outfits. And but we made it work, and I've learned to really love it. I love our community, and I love the people there so much. We're really tight, like no community I've ever seen in America. But you know, we sit on that terrace and we look at this view and we have our rosé, and life really can't get much better. I think we would both say that. But, you know, we want to write that last chapter for ourselves and not have it written for us. And that's what I've been saying. And I know what that life's going to be. It's going to be teaching in Freehold, which is great, or teaching wherever, which is great. It's going to be directing the occasional commercial. It's going to be writing another screenplay and shopping it around the United States. Like I'm going to Texas next week to shop it at the Austin Film Festival. Great, that's all good. But I want to not know exactly what that chapter is going to be. And I want to see new things. I want to wake up with my wife and say, let's go to Rome tomorrow. Let's go to Barcelona tomorrow. And you can do that in Europe.
Yes.
Not so easy to do it from here. So that's what we're doing. We're just selling. Our house is on the market now. Just went on, and we'll sell, and we'll go. And we're just going 100%.
Oh, wow. You'll be so missing here.
I'm going to miss it here, too. It's bittersweet.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss it here, too. I have lots of friends and lots of people I care for, and lots of things I like here. So that makes me a little sad, but I'm also excited.
We have a word in Portuguese. It's called saudades. It means kind of a missing. You know, I'm missing you, but a little bit more deep than that. There is no translation for it. So I will feel saudades.
And vice versa.
Yeah. Well, but at the same
you just
time,
have to come visit us in France.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to have a great guest house.
Yes, that will be amazing. Yeah. And don't you feel like a little, I mean, I heard you, this excitement, you know, like to restart fresh in a new place for what are you calling it, the third act? And this is beautiful and amazing. But also, have you ever, I know you travel a lot, but you never live in another country, right? So that will be a new experience to be an immigrant, an American immigrant in another place.
And that world, as you well know, is changing in all countries, not just America, where it's changing horribly. But Italy is like getting rid of their immigrants as fast as you and I can have a glass of water. I mean, so there's a reason, obviously, all this is happening. It's not just right-wing, whatever they're called. It's also immigration is becoming a bigger and bigger problem because of global warming. People down below the equator can't eat. There's no water. They can't get jobs. So like human beings have done throughout time. They're coming north to find work and food and a better life, or a life at all. And our borders are all getting swamped. And if we don't do something about global warming, there will be no army in the world that will stop the immigrants. There will be too many people, because people will move to survive. Now, that's not always the reason people come here, but nevertheless, it's going to be a bigger problem than it even is now.
Yeah.
So yes, I thought about that immigrant situation, but
It doesn't scare you?
a little bit, to be honest. But I've been to France a lot and I've never felt judged, other than the fact that I'm an American. Sometimes the French aren't keen on that. But I also speak okay French, so they like me that I'm trying, that I'm not just going, why don't you speak American? Right? They like that I'm trying to speak French, I think. And also I make friends pretty easily, and I don't need to throw my culture on anybody. I want to learn their culture, actually. So I think those things are going to help too. And I'm white. That helps. I hate to say it, but it does. So, like my son lives in Europe. He's been there for 8 years, and he's gets in no trouble, even though he had some sort of expired visa things once or twice. He did actually finally get into trouble, but only because he was protesting outside of Tesla. Otherwise, if he never did that, he'd never been stopped by the police. But he sees a lot of black immigrants getting stopped all the time. So, yeah. Sad, but true.
I think we have a author in Brazil that says, we were born to be brave, and it seems like this is a truth it's being more felt it nowadays, right?
When we're not brave, nothing changes, because the status quo will stay existing and holding on to its power, and that's often not good for people that need more jobs or better jobs, and so you have to be brave. And what's the Shakespeare quote? Be bold and mighty forces will follow. And I believe that.
John, thank you so much. Thank you so much for attending my call, for this conversation. Have you ever been in Brazil?
I have never been to Brazil, and I'd love to go.
And have you tried Brazilian food?
I don't think I have.
So it's time.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Show me what to eat.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. It's so fun. Thanks for asking. It's really nice.